Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of Konbit 2025. I'm Lastenia Gonzalez, and it's such a pleasure to be your host today. As someone who has spent years teaching and working in communication and digital analysis, I'm excited to guide you through a day that's all about language access, opportunity, and connection. Yesterday, we celebrated Haitian Creole as a language of culture and global dialogue. Today, we'll explore how the same language continues to shape progress, from workplaces to technology, to the future of education. Before begin, I'd love to know where people is joining us from. Please share your location, your city, your country. Just go and share it in our chat. Oneres P, welcome. From Russia, welcome. Hello. Hello from Chicago, welcome. Jean-Marc. Manila, welcome. Salim. It's really motivating to see people tuning in from all over the world. Truly a reflection of how far Haitian Creole has reached. Thank you for being part of this global conversation. Now, let's begin with our first panel of the day. Our first section this morning is titled Access to Meaning, Access to Growth, Language Inclusion in Haitian Workforces. This panel explores how language access transformed workplace, created better communication, stronger inclusion, and greater professional development opportunities, especially from multilingual and TPS employees. Please welcome our two speakers. Evelyn Marte, Director of Human Resources at John Knox Village of Florida, who leads People First initiatives rooted in trust and transparency. And Lorraine Sanchez, Benefits Specialist at John Knox Village, who has introduced multilingual orientation and Creole translation initiatives that strengthen engagement and inclusion. But before we begin, a quick reminder. We'll have a QA segment at the end of this session. So as you listen, please leave your questions in the chat or comment section. Evelyn, Lorraine, welcome. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. Welcome to Konbit, day 2 of Konbit 2025. I'm so happy to have our two special guests with us today, Lorraine and Evelyn from John Knox Village. So let's jump right in. We wanted to ask you some questions because this year we've had some excellent experience with your team, your HR and your benefits team. So this is why we thought you would be great to be part of this discussion because you are a great model for companies with LEP employees. And I wanted to ask you, Lorraine or Evelyn, or both of you can answer based on your experience, how language inclusion influences an employee's ability to advance and feel valued at work.
Well, I'll start off. Definitely in our cases, seeing our employees being able to communicate better, to explain their challenges, their concerns, their difficulties in a language where they're comfortable in. And we also have the confidence that is being translated properly back to us has been instrumental. We've something that we noticed was a need, but we needed to find, that right partnership, which we have. But we are noticing with them that they're not comfortable coming to our offices and explaining their challenges, their issues, their concern, and knowing we're also respecting their privacy because it's not a co-worker that's having to translate and it's just uncomfortable. Now they are in a comfortable space, they're safe, and we're able to provide that same unique experience that we provide to all of our employees.
Very interesting. And I know in my culture, Haitians see you, well, everyone should, they see you as an authority. And if they may have a hard time complaining, even if they're suffering, they may have a hard time complaining. And in addition to that, they have to do it in a language they're not comfortable with. So the fact that you are opening the door for them to let them know, hey, we speak your language in one way. So I think that would help them feel more comfortable to engage with you. And Lorraine, what do you think? How has that experience been for you?
Well, explaining the benefits to them, it's been challenging because of the language barrier. At the beginning, I was using another employee to help us, translate. But I noticed that I said one phrase and all of a sudden it was like a whole conversation. And
Huh.
then I noticed that the employee was laughing. And I was like, are you translating the what I am saying? And he was like, yes, 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 yes. I thought it was not. So
Mm,
that was when we started, looking for help, looking for someone that can translate what we are saying. But at the same time, we needed to have it that in confidence, in with the privacy of them to understand what we're saying. And it's been a challenge.
I can imagine. And that's why it's so important to have, first we need to have someone who's independent, who's so they can share
Right.
things that are confidential, and also someone who's qualified. So it sounds like your ad hoc interpreter was not qualified to interpret, and he was just making up things that were because if the employees were laughing. So that's why it's important to have a trained interpreter interpreting for you. So I'm really glad that this has been working. And you're saying it's been challenging. What other challenges have you been facing as an HR specialist, benefit specialist?
I received one employee that he was very sick, and he needed my help communicating with our medical provider. And then I make the call and I translate for him, between the English and English, but that he can understand. So I get him the information. I provide him with a little piece of paper with the address where he was supposed to go, and I gave it to him. A couple of days later, he came back with another question, and I said, "How are you feeling? Are you feeling better?" And then he looked at the other employee that he brought for be his translator, and he looked at him, and then I look at the other employee. I said, "What happened?" And he said, "Oh, he didn't went to the doctor." I said, "Why?" He was running fever and everything. He said he didn't understand English. He doesn't read English. I was like, "Oh
Wow.
God."
Wow.
That was
And he
devastating.
didn't even come back to you to tell, he didn't even tell you that he didn't understand.
No, he just took the piece of paper and he left. I said, "This is the address where you're going." He said, "Okay, okay." And he left.
Yeah, that's another issue. I've had cases where we ask, you give them a document and they don't want, it's the same issue with authority. We don't want to, complain and we suffer in silence. I've had a patient who had a document. He did not understand anything in the document, but he nodded yes. And this could be dangerous based on the type of injury that he had. And this, it shows how language access is so important for them. And Miss Evelyn, have what other challenges are you facing in your department or your staff is facing in their department in terms of language access?
It goes from all spectrums. Even when we're sourcing, for example, we're looking for candidates. A lot of our staff can be CNAs, groundskeeping teams specifically happen to be those that are from Haiti. So, and it's through word of mouth. And they're one of the best employees. They get the highest recognitions from our residents. They just do a fantastic job. But trying to get them here and get them through the process, because as Lorraine shared, everything's in English, including, the interview, the paperwork. So when we didn't have a resource that they could understand, listen, I need you to do a drug test within X amount of days, all they're saying is, okay, okay. But they're, maybe they're a little embarrassed or they don't want to show that they don't understand because they have the basics to get in. But that has been more of the challenge, just starting even in recruitment. Once we get them on board, it's easier because they have their coworker, they have their peers, they're more comfortable. But then it comes to challenges within the workforce. Because it could be a miscommunication with a supervisor, because the supervisors, for the most part, they don't speak Creole. The ones that speak Creole are our leads. So there could be that miscommunication. He could say one thing, and our employee who may not understand jokes, for example, that we tend to make, they may not understand that because they're not going to translate it. They're not mastering English. So he's translating literal. And that could be a challenge versus, someone that does speak the language fluently. So those are a little bit of the challenge once they're in the workplace. And then bringing up issues. Because if someone doesn't understand, you don't want to tell a peer that. And then the peer has to translate what they're saying. So that was a little bit of a challenge. So most of the time it was yes, yes. Even up to, we have satisfaction surveys that we do. So we pulse our survey, we pulse our employees every year just to understand how we're doing. How is your benefits? How's your supervisor? For years, everything's great in grounds. Everything's good. Last year, we did the survey in Creole. Now we know what's going on. So they are letting us know, for example, they feel their benefits are not good. It's not that it's not good. They don't understand. They don't know what they have. So that was another catalyst pushing us to ensure that this group of employees are also included and understand the value of the things that we give them, and for them to be able to translate back as well. What are they feeling, and what can we do better to be a good workforce to them?
Wow, this is great. This is great. And you talk about the survey and how having it translated helped them express themselves and their needs and concerns. So, what other specific initiatives have proven effective in breaking language barriers at John Knox Village?
Definitely having a resource as you guys as a third party. Because again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. You're going to be a little bit embarrassed to share a problem with a coworker. And it was a very highlight moment to us, which of course I cannot go into details, but an employee of ours came to our office directly to share or express his grievance on a situation that was embarrassing to him. And we were able to utilize you guys as an extension of our department so we can understand what is he saying. He understood us, and we were able to resolve his issue with dignity and with respect, which is the key thing that I want to ensure all of our employees have. And that was an aha moment. okay, this is working. This is a great partnership, not only for Lorraine benefits, which she'll go into, but in general for our workforce and for our team as well.
Wow, this is great. This is great. And we're happy to support your organization. It's been a pleasure working with you. And really see your company as a model, especially in Florida. Florida, Haitian Creole is the third largest language spoken after English and Spanish. So it's very important to have resources. I was talking to someone yesterday who needed our services, and he mentioned how there was a conference and they had the English versions of the materials, the Spanish versions, but they didn't have the Haitian Creole version. So there's really a need to advocate for the Haitian Creole speakers. You know, we are advocating for them, but they need to advocate for themselves, and companies like you are advocating for them. So this is great for the Haitian employees. And anyone, any LEPs, you know, I know there's already a lot in place for Spanish, but there are other immigrants that need to have information in their language. It's not just Haitian. So, you know, language access is a very important tool. Now, what I would like to know, Lorraine, is how can other organizations begin building a language access framework, even with limited resources?
Well, the first thing is, look for a third party to help them, because sometimes, for example, I speak Spanish, so I have no problem translating and do it, both ways, from English to Spanish or Spanish to English. But when we have a Haitian Creole that I don't understand silt, so we need to get
Mm,
a third party to help us, and that have the confidence that that person is going to be very confidential and very private with what they are hearing, especially because we are human resources and everything that we do is confidential. But it's
right.
very, very important to get a third party to help when you don't have the resources to help yourself.
And what do you look for in a third party? When you say third party, what are some tips that you could share with other organizations that are looking for a third party?
Confidentiality,
Yes. Okay.
response, that, for example, if I receive an employee right now, I need to call someone to help me to understand the employee. So it's not like, okay, I have 30 minutes to wait or I have to make an appointment. If I have the opportunity to make that appointment, I will do it. But if I need it right away, that the person or the third party is going to be able to answer the phone like 5-10 minutes, because it's something that is urgent. Eh, the confidentiality, when you send something to translate, like I do with my third party, that you receive that back on time, because sometimes I am sending an email or sending a letter that has a time frame.
Hmm.
So, and that third party is our partner.
Okay, that makes sense, because deadlines are very important in the transition industry. Projects are deadline driven, because if you need to send something by Monday, publish it to all your employees, the Haitian Creole or the other language versions need to be ready for them. Evelyn, do you want to add anything to that, or?
I mean, she pretty much captured it, but also that it felt, as I said before, an extension of our office. That was the key thing we were looking at, along with the customer service. I understand very little because I went to an area here in Miami called North Miami, which is a lot of Haitians, and my best friend's also from Haiti. So I understand very little. So even when that introduction, that hello, how are you, and then you go into what's happening, it's important because it's the same way we would do it. So that was
Right. Right. So yeah, so even if you have limited resources and you can't hire an in-house interpreter or translator, you could find a third party that is responsive and confidential. They, require them to sign an NDA and to make sure And one thing they could do is delete your files. They can delete the files after a certain amount of time, because once you have the documents, they don't need it anymore. So they can delete it to make sure that it doesn't get, in case they get hacked, and security. And so that's good. That's good I hope everyone is taking notes. If they are looking for translators, I know we have a couple of people in Russia and Peru. If you're looking for interpreters in your area, then these are some of the tips that you're looking for. My final question before we go into Q&A, and if anyone has any question, please type it in and we'll go to the Q&A session in just a moment. My last question is for both of you ladies. What's one key lesson for HR professionals managing multilingual or multicultural teams?
For me, it's respect.
For me, it's more that inclusivity, kind of wrapping up the topic. They need to feel that the workforce is also for them, that it's not just siloed. I want to make sure everybody is included, regardless of the language. Here it happens to be English and Creole, but even in other workplaces I work where I also have Spanish as well, we ensured everyone feels valued, they feels heard, and by that is acknowledging where their comfort at.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's great. And I believe when you make them feel respected and included, they perform better. So it's also a great business practice to value and respect your employees.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. We know you have a busy day today, so I wanted to say thank you so much for being a part of our Konbit. And I hope you can tell your employees, that you were just part of the Konbit and see their reaction. I would love to know your reaction. And I don't know if we have any questions for the panelists. Well, there are no questions. Oh, yes. AI interpretation. Oh, AI interpretation is the way. Is that a question or? So how do you ladies feel about AI interpretation? Have you ever tried it?
It's not that accurate, When I am translating from English to Spanish, I just do the math, but then I need to make sense what I am translating. And with Creole, I'm sorry, I don't know Creole, so I cannot use AI.
And it's even worse in Creole.
I was just going to share, because we had an experience, we didn't use AI. We ended up having, wherein she used she's not one of our managers, to translate a letter that it was mostly our Haitian employees that were impacted. She had to take that letter home, and she, born in Haiti, speaks Creole, took the letter home because the language evolves with the generations. So right. That's the key part you will miss with a Google or an AI, is also the cultural piece of the language, specifically to your location. So that's, be careful. It's more what I would say with AI and Google and all of that.
We had a whole panel on AI yesterday, and that's exactly what our panelists were saying. The human element is very important, because AI doesn't have emotions and it doesn't know the whole context. So it's very important to have at least have an expert look at it. You can use it, run it through Google to just have a draft. But it's important to have a human, especially if you have limited resources. You can use AI to do a rough draft, but it's always good to have the human element. That's why I think translators and interpreters are here to stay. But there was a comment about AI interpretation. Interpretation is the spoken language, not the written language. I don't know if you've ever tried to say something in English, and then it speaks back in Spanish or Creole. Have you ever tried that with your employees?
I haven't, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it.
I think it will be worse than using Google Translate. But things are moving so fast. Yes. Who knows if in the next year or two, They'll have little apps that will allow you to speak to your team with no problem. So yes. Well, thank you so much, ladies, again for being our special. We have another we have another question. Sorry. Great conversation. Have you learned a bit of Creole yourself through working with external interpreters?
But we just started the relationship. With me, I learned it was from high school, from my friends. That's why I know my little bit where I could defend myself. Like if I'm hungry, I know how to say that I'm hungry and things like that. And how I understand Marlene, the hello, how are you? And I understand when he or she is saying it back to her. So very basics. And then I can pick up a few words, but I'll forget. But I'm sure with time, I am going to start picking up a little bit more because my ear's already tuned to it. So it's a little different.
Good.
For
What
me,
about
I
you,
used
Lorraine?
to know French, so
Mm.
I catch couple of words, but when they start speaking fast, I get lost.
Wow. Because there's a lot of false friends.
Yes,
Spanish, French, they're all a big linguistic family, but over the years, the words evolve. They have different
yes,
meaning in the different languages. Even French and Creole, they're like brothers and sisters, but there's still a lot of false friends. So you may have an idea of what the person is saying, but it will be hard for you to get a full grasp
yes.
of what they're saying. But I encourage you ladies to learn Creole. That's adding another language to your language box. You're already bilingual. You speak Spanish and English. So I hope you can learn, and I'll teach you a few words if needed. But
Oh, thank
um,
you. We appreciate that.
we can start with Konbit. Konbit is do you know what Konbit means?
I do
Well,
not actually.
That may be a hard one.
Ah,
A Konbit
got
means collective work, so working together as a group. That's a tough one because and that's the other thing we're talking about. It has the cultural charge. Like it's you can't translate it into a specific word in English. So we'll start with travail. Do you know what travail means?
work.
Hey, very good. So so you speak okay, good. So that's one word. We have another question. Would you rather trust an interpreter from a big translation company or someone who works independently? Hmm.
In our case, it was more specific to our needs. So we did obviously do our due diligence and looked at several companies, but we've noticed for us this work, the independent, because of the faster response, the customer service piece, just this worked for us. The bigger companies, unfortunately, were too disattached for us. So it did not work as well as where we need it. So it's more tailoring it to your company, your needs, how many employees you have, how many locations. We're a single unit employee, 500 is our average work. So something like this works for us, including the bigger piece for us that the big companies didn't have was coming to our workforce and being able to do open enrollment or a meeting.
Mm,
That was key for us. They couldn't do it. In our case, with Creole Solutions, they could, and that made a huge impact. But tailor it to your company. It's the best
right,
advice.
right. Some bigger companies have advantages and smaller companies have advantages. Yeah, like you said, it depends on your needs. And a lot of the bigger companies probably have interpreters offshore and they're not able to travel. So that may be one reason. But let me see. Do we have any more questions? I don't
and
see
it's more
any more.
personal too. It's more personal.
Yes, of course. If you have
Yeah,
a small, yeah, a small LSP, of course, we're not managing 30 languages for, we're only managing one language. And in my case, I'm the owner. I'm also an interpreter and a translator, so I can jump in and, it's easier for me to manage a small company. So there are advantages to being a small company, just like there are advantages to working with a big company. Well, this was such a great conversation. It's great to see you ladies, and I hope that this was very helpful to those of us who are in HR looking to build a multilingual staff or having language access to your company. So I'm going to say thank you for being here, and I hope you can continue to be a part of this Konbit. I will let Lastenia take over now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
the
for having
invite.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn and Lorraine, for those valuable insights. You have shown how language access can truly change the employee experience from onboarding to advancement. Okay, so thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it. So, there is more to follow. Stay tuned for this impressive lecture that we have next. It's clear that language inclusion is not just HR practice, it's a human value that drives connection and growth. Coming up next, we'll shift from the corporate setting to the language profession itself, exploring what we've learned from years of translation practice and community collaboration. Our next session is Lesson Learned, a Practical Approach. This lecture dives into processes, tools, and experiences that have shaped Haitian Creole translation over the years. From terminology databases and quality assurance systems to managing complex multilingual projects. We are joined today by McNeil James Jean Lewis, linguist and Creolist at Creole Solutions, specializing in translation quality assurance. Mark Kensen, educator and multilingual writer, advocating for Creole in education and civic life. Edlins Ulis, a lead interpreter at Creole Solution with over 14 years of experience in Haitian Creole and French. But before we begin, remember, we'll have time for audience questions at the end of the lecture. So please type your question in the comments as you listen. Gentlemen, welcome, and the floor is all yours.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lastania. Um, Hello, everyone. My name is Edlin Ulysses, as Lastania just presented me. And it's a pleasure, it's an honor to be here today with you, to be a part of this great event that Creole Solution has put together, and also with the collaboration of Multilingual. So thank you for this opportunity given to us to share a little bit of our experience. I cannot forget Camila, who is helping us with the slides as well. So thank you for that. Today, in my session, the few minutes that we are sharing, I want to bring to your attention um, a very important aspect in you know, the field of interpretation. Um, I mean, langue pas seulement son, mais c'est nam yon peuple. And with this phrase, I want to bring to your attention this aspect, which is the transcultural competence in Haitian Creole interpretation. So, langue, c'est pas seulement son, mais c'est nam yon peuple. That translate to into English like language transcends sound. It embodies the soul and identity of people. Um, so, next slide, please. There you go. Okay. So, what we mean by that, that is why I mean, even if someone speaks several languages, but when they are in an emotional state, their instinct is to express themselves in their mother tongue because emotions dwell in the soul. The soul, as we know, is that part of us where we have our emotions and we have our intellect and also our will. So when we say langue pas seulement son, c'est nam nous, language transcends sounds, it embodies the soul and identity of people. That means the language you speak, it's part of our identity, it's part of who we really are, which means it carries not only the sound but the emotions as well. That's why when a Haitian is surprised, even though he is multilingual, or in shock, they might say something like, "Oh, "Gadon cause," which roughly means, "Wow, look at that." Or if they are happy, laughing or joking around, they might say something like, "Ooh, à la cause, papa." Sound like, "What a thing." Something like, "Wow, what a thing." Or if an Haitian, even multilingual, is angry, they might say, "Fout ton nez," which means "damn it," which is an exclamation of frustration. So we gather this month to celebrate the langue in the Kilti Creole, which is the language, Creole language in Creole culture. Creole is a living symbol of identity, resilience, and unity. I'm going to say that again. Creole is a living symbol of identity, resilience, and unity. Would you please give me the next slide? Thank you. So we are seeing together why transcultural awareness matters in the job of interpretation, or if you are an interpreter. It's because as an interpreter, we serve not only words, but heritage, dignity, and connection. I'm going to say that again. As an interpreter, we serve not only words, but heritage, dignity, and connection. Next slide, please. So, interpretation, it's not just linguistic transfer, but it's a cultural mediation. Transcultural competence involves recognizing social, historical, emotional context. It also involves navigating cultural values, worldviews, and unspoken norms. Also, it's bridging between the mainstream and the Creole world with sensitivity. It ensures interpretation is accurate, respectful, but as well is human-centered. This is very important. It's ensure that the interpretation is accurate, respectful, and human-centered. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. The previous slide, please. Just stay right there for a little bit. Very good. Thank you. Now we are seeing the Haitian Creole in the U.S. today. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, the latest update from 2019, there is over 1,500,000 people reported speaking Haitian or the unspecified Creole at home. That means there is a growing demand for Haitian Creole interpreters in healthcare, justice, education, and social services. Interpreters help secure access to services, to rights, and voice for Creole speakers. The next slide, please, Camila. All right, thank you. The Haitian context culture in every word. Creole expressions carry emotional, cultural, and historical weight. By example, we have the simple words we, W-I, which simply means yes in English. But the simple word may signal assent, politeness, hesitation, or deeper resonance depending on tone and context. I'm going to say that one more time. This simple word, we, W-I, which means yes in English, this, depending on the context, may signal politeness, hesitation, assent, or deeper resonance. It depends on the tone using or the context. It is. So navigating such nuance is part of the interpreter's job. Navigating such nuance is part of the interpreter's job. So The interpreter becomes a cultural bridge. It's un pont dans mi-temps des mondes, not just a messenger. The interpreter is bridging two worlds. Now, if you are an interpreter, or if you interested in the field, or you say, okay, one day I want to be an interpreter, or you want some tips helping you to improve the job that you are doing, I want to share with you today 5 practical tips that can help you to do your job better. First of all, if you're working in the context of, working from home, where you have your office at home and you're working through a computer and stuff like that, the first things before you start with a session of an interpretation, you're gonna ask the client if there's any documents that's gonna involve in the session. If there's any documents, so you ask for that documents, you look at it, you read it, trying to understand if there's any specific or any terminology that is specific that you are going to need to interpret in your session. Because that's help you understand the background in the context. Second, very important tips. These 2 tips, you gonna do them before you start with your session. You're gonna need to do a sound and the platform test before each session. As you can see, I have my headphone here, and before the session start, you're gonna make sure that your laptop function good, your internet connection is good, and everything works perfectly before you start with the session. This is very important. And third, you're gonna need to keep a personal glossary, track culturally loaded or recurring terms. What I mean by that is, it's one thing that you understand the message, but it's another thing to render that message in the level of the understanding of the people receiving the message. So as an interpreter, you are the canal. So there's one way you receive the message, okay? You understand what is being said, but it is a certain way in your mind. But the way you're gonna convey it and make sure that you keep the integrity of the message and the person you are interpreting that message to understand it, it's another thing. So that's why when you are interpreting, you're gonna make sure that you have your notes. Sometimes, okay, you find, oh, I understand there's a better way that I can convey this message to the people listening to me who doesn't speak the other language. So you note that. You say, okay, I want to use this instead. Or there's a terminology that totally doesn't make sense in the other language. So you take your time now to say, okay, this term, this is how it makes sense, by example, in Haitian Creole. So you know that. You have that in your glossary so that you can use it in your session when it's needed. And fourth, use short, clear sentences. This is very important because sometimes we have a tendency to duplicate words or to over saying things when we are interpreting. No, you go straight to the point. You use short, clear sentences, especially if you're interpreting a complex or an emotional content. And the last one, not the least, reflect after sessions. You know what went well and maybe somewhere you need to improve because there's always place for improvement. So it's important after every session you done as an interpreter, you reflect on that You take some note and you say, okay, this is something that I want to improve, or this went well, I want to keep it. Very important. Next slide, please. Thank you, Camilla. As interpreter, we don't just translate words. We connect worlds with respect, sensitivity, and humanity. I'm going to say that again. As an interpreter, we don't just translate words, but we connect worlds with respect, sensitivity, and humanity. And transcultural awareness elevates our work from technical skills to a form of service. By honoring Haitian Creole in every interpretation, we honor the soul of our people. Chaque mot nous interprété, c'est un pont n'a bâti dans mitan deux mondes. Every word we interpret becomes a bridge uniting two worlds. Next slide, please. Thank you very much for your time and attention today.
Hello.
Neil?
Okay. Thank you very much, Edlins, for your very nice talk, and I was very amazed to listen about interpretation. And it's a very nice field in the Asian, in the language industry. But for the Asian Creole industry, we know that interpretation is both a blessing and something that we need, and the necessary thing for the Asian community. Well,
Exactly. Thank you.
now this is my turn, and I am going to talk about a lot of things about translation. And as Lastenia mentioned it before, I am a translator. I am also part of Creole Solutions, and I will be talking to you as a translator, and I will tell you everything we learned within the translation industry. So, hello everyone, and my name is McNeil Jean-Louis, and as I said, I am a freelance Asian Creole linguist. Today, we are part of this nice event, Konbit 25, and this is an opportunity for me and an honor to share what I've learned during my time in the Asian Creole translation field. We are going to the next slide, please. Yes, in order to introduce what I will be talking about, I have to talk about the translation, my career as a translator. And I have to tell you that for me, it's not only a career, it's part of my mission. My mission is to give voice to those who have long been ignored. When I say long been ignored, it's because we know that for a long time, Asian Creole has been the underdog. So Asian Creole has always been underserved. Today, we have the opportunity to bring the Asian Creole language into the next level, and higher level. Let's talk about me for a few seconds. I've been translating with Creole Solutions for more than 4 years now. It's a wonderful team. The work we do is more than translating words. When I say that, it's because we do not do this only because we want money. We do this because we want something else for Haitian Creole. It's about protecting our identity, promoting dignity, and ensuring that Haitian Creole is recognized as a powerful language in global communication. So this is not just work, this is purpose. So we have this purpose to bring Haitian Creole to another level. Slide 3, please. Now we are going to talk about context and innovations. What have we done with Haitian Creole? So Haitian Creole is not a dialect, it's a full-fledged language. It deserves accuracy, it deserves respect, it deserves presence on the world stage like any other language. Through innovation, technology, and through dedicated professionals like me and like us, we are enabling Haitian Creole speakers to join global conversations. We are part of the world now. With confidence and legitimacy, our evolving tools and methods are not merely improvements, they are bridges connecting cultures. We're going to slide 4, please. Let's talk about some assets we developed in the last few years. At Creole Solutions, quality has always been our foundation. From the client to the project manager, and from the project manager to me as a translator, we make sure that everything is correct in order to make sure that the final product is good to go. We don't deliver something unfinished. We deliver something in this full form. With comprehensive QA workflows, each translation is reviewed for accuracy, cultural adaptation, consistency, and alignment with industry standards. Haitian Creole deserves this level of rigor. Professionals like us exist to ensure it receives it. Let's talk about me. I remember the first time I had to translate a large document back in 2020. It was a 40 pages document. And I was paid only $100. That sounds crazy. Yes. But the crazier part is that it was not translated well according to industry standards. There was no accuracy, no consistency, no adaptation. I had nothing to help me deliver a good quality job. Now, with time and experience, if I look back, I can learn from my errors and I can be proud of what I achieved through Creole Solutions and with the team. As our work evolved, we also developed custom-built terminology databases. They weren't just technical. These are not just technical projects. They became part of our workflow, a digital Haitian Creole library. With every term we standardize, we reinforce linguistic identity. The training programs, we establish clear standards of excellence. Translation is not only about being bilingual. I can speak Creole, I can speak French, but I can't be able to translate well. This does not mean I can translate well. And as I said a few moments ago, I had to learn in order to get where I am today. I started as a complete novice, and I had to familiarize myself with cat tools, which we'll discuss later. Style guides, translation memories, and the Haitian Creole dictionaries available to me. As a team, we also learn at Creole Solutions through monthly meetings. We had meetings each month, every month, just to learn. So we overcame many challenges. Let's go to slide 5, please. So let's talk about the challenge, the slide before. Yes. We had a lot on our plate at some point. Translating large documents once took days or weeks. Today, with some tools, we complete projects faster without compromising quality, accuracy, and consistency. Cultural challenges still exist, but we are striving to preserve authenticity while remaining globally understandable. When I say that, is that Asian all over the world can understand what we are saying without being too Frenchy or too English. We give them the pure form of Creole. We translate meaning also. We also translate meaning, not just word. That's the sentence I wanted to emphasize on. We translate meaning, not just words. We also overcame resource limitations by partnering with Asian Creole academies and expanding terminology databases. This is what we did. This is what we are doing, and this is what we will do in the future. But we also have other obstacles, and these obstacles have to be overcome. We have to overcome them. Let's go to slide 6, please. No, the one before. Exactly. Thank you. No. Okay. Overcoming challenges in translation practice. Yes, we had a lot of on our plate, and one of the things we have to say is that we can't stay like that. We have to do something. We have to find solutions. So overcoming challenges require community trust. We need to be part of the community, and we need the community engagement. By engaging with local voices, we become more than translators. We become cultural guardians. That's what we are doing today. We are making our voices heard so that others can learn about what we've accomplished and perhaps join us in the future. The systematic development of terminology and customized project management have enabled us to create sustainable and tailored translation practices. That's how we achieve consistency. We need consistency and accuracy. This is also something we need in the industry. We have succeeded in turning darkness into light where it seemed impossible. The Asian community and the Asian community in the English speaking countries is now the spotlight thanks to the evolution of Asian Creole. And none of this would have been possible without our effective implementation of project management. Let's go to slide 7, please. The next one. Exactly. Well, we can't build without tools. And to build a language like this, we need tools like cat tools. Let's talk about cat tools first. Cat tools are softwares that allow us to translate more effectively. You have the source language on one side and the target language on the other side. So you can see the English and you can see the Creole on one part. So there are also other features embedded in the software to help us translate and review our work. Here are some examples of cat tools: MemoQ, Trados, SmartLink, SmartCat, and so on. We also have QA tools to ensure accuracy, like Xbench, Multiterm. We also have project management systems like Trello, Plunet, and Protemos. This helps us stay organized and responsive. We also have research tools like Lingui, Word Reference, and Medical Creole for medical translation. These help us support linguistic precision and cultural relevance. These tools are helpful, but they can't help us if we don't have good practices. Let's go to the next slide to learn about the practices, the best practices. Exactly. Thank you very much, Cam. So we need practice. We need something that define us. We need acts that define us as the best. So to do this, we commit to a lot of things. We commit to careful review or translation to ensure quality. We respect the client instructions and preferences. We use clear and plain language for the target audience. We do cultural research in the Asian context. We protect client data through privacy and confidentiality. We manage our time wisely through our workflow. And we also know when we have to collaborate if it's necessary because we are not perfect, but we need to collaborate. We need help from other people, for other entities. And discipline build trust, trust build reputation, and reputation builds legacy. That's what we need in Haitian Creole. Let's go to the next slide, please. So we have an example of what the QA workflow. I'm going to read them so that you can see exactly what we do, the steps we take. First, we prepare the assets and we extract content for translation. We set up a localization environment. We translate the content. We review them so that they can be correct and have good quality. And then we re-import them as the source format. And then we send them to the client. Maybe the client can be not satisfied and send them back. We also ensure that this is the best after that. And then we send them until the client is satisfied. That's our workflow. That's how we do it in Creole Solutions. That's what we've learned to. Let's go to the next slide, please. The next slide is about the strategies we practice, we implement in our workflow. So let's read some of them. We manage multiple projects. Yes, we have a team and every one of us do their part when we get multiple jobs. We make sure to plan ahead and deliver on time because we have to maintain deadlines. We do all that while we make sure everything is consistent. Yes, the keyword is consistent because we have to show that we know what we are doing. With solid QA workflows and reliable project management strategies, we continue meeting global expectations while staying true to our cultural mission. Because remember, this is not only translating words, but we are promoting our culture. Let's go to slide 11, please. Yes, this is my favorite part because we have to show what we achieved and what we plan to build in the future. These are some pictures representing what we've done and what we are going to do in the future. So imagine mothers reading Haitian Creole stories to their children at night. So we know that many stories, interesting stories, are not translated in Haitian Creole, but we want to read them to our children. So them being translated in Creole will be a blessing, and that will be something the next speaker will talk about. Second, imagine family watching shows with Haitian Creole subtitle. That would be something great. Imagine major digital platforms with our language in their settings available to millions. Well, now as I am speaking now, there is a giant in social media who got the Haitian Creole treatment, and it's exciting news. Yes, these are things we have done, and these are things we plan to build in the long term. This is translation. This is culture. This is legacy. This is visibility for an entire nation. May the future bring more for us Haitian all over the world. Next slide, please. And to conclude my speech today, I have to show you this picture. And this is a photo of me at my workstation. And as you can see, I am always delighted to translate and add my personal touch to any type of communication medium. So thank you very much, Multilingual Media, for this opportunity to speak today. And thank you to the audience, you are listening to me, for joining me on this adventure. Together, we are not only translating words, we are moving Haitian Creole forward, one translation at a time. I was very happy to share this message to you, and I hope that this Konbit 25 inspire us for the benefits of Haitian Creole within our community. Thank you very much. Now, we are going to going forward with Markinson, which will be our next speaker.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Mark Kinson, Curving Lines. I am a multilingual writer. Good morning. My name is Mark Kinson, Curving Lines. I'm a multilingual writer, an educator, and also a Creole activist. First of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity. And I also want to thank Clergeton Saint-Hill, who has been a supportive partner in my work. And I want to thank Creole Solutions and Multilingual as well for this opportunity. They have my McNeil and Edlins and Marlene have left some big shoes for me to fill. Hopefully I can walk in them. My presentation today is a case study. It's based on Alice in Wonderland, a translation that I've come up with, and it is translated as Alice dans le pays merveille. So it's actually a tiny case study. Camila, would you please have the first slide for me? Camila, are you here? Okay, we know that books, I'm going to start with a cliche. Books are what we call, transportation system. And at the core of that transportation system is the translator, and that is a conductor of the entire transportation system. So in a modern world, we know that information travels pretty fast. And what is doing that is the writing system. So books are transportation systems that allow us to enhance knowledge, to build on knowledge. So at the core of that, we see cultural diffusion. So Lakai Silakai, translated as there's nothing like home. That is why I have decided to engage myself in producing academic work in Haitian Creole, the Haitian language. And one of those works is Alice in Wonderland, which is translated as Alice dans le pays merveille. First of all, we know that fidelity, cultural fidelity, is extremely important. It's one thing to travel to someone else's home. It's another thing to be at home. That is why it is extremely important to translate new works into Haitian Creole. Not only that enhances ourselves, it also enhances and enriches the language. And when we do that, we invest in ourselves in the future. So what I've done, it's a seed. It's a small thing, but hopefully it can grow into a baobab, like a big tree that will give all of us shade. As Edlin says, cultural fidelity. So you have to become a bridge, because translation is not a passive process. It's an active process. It's not just copying what the author has said. There are times you have to make decisions. You have to create, you have to invert, because you have a new audience. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have an epic story. We know the epic story, the universal theme is that the hero or shiro struggles, comes close to losing his or her life. And then at the end, the hero triumphs. let's say in one story, there's an animal that is being sacrificed, but it's not essential to the story. Let's say it's a cow, and now you're trying to transmit that story into Hindi, for example. But in that culture, cows are sacred. Since the cow is not essential to the story, you can actually change cow into, let's say, a lamb, because by sacrificing the cow in Hindu religion, that could be seen as a sacrilege. So to avoid that, to be culture sensitive to what is happening, because the cow is not essential to the epic story, you can change it into a lamb. And I've done that in Alice in Wonderland. I've done something similar to that. So culture fidelity is extremely important. Next slide, please. So I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by that. In Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit says, "Oh, my whiskers and ears." So that is an internal conversation also. The rabbit is talking to parts of his body.
Now,
Those body parts are personified. But in Haitian Creole, we do it a different way. We use Konbit, which is loosely translated as Mr., and Come, which is Mrs. So that's how we do it. That's why even though Carol Lewis did not say Mr. Ears or Mrs. Mrs. Whiskers, I have to come up with that to be consistent culturally. So would you please play the two sounds for us? Camilla? Okay. Next slide, please. So as I say, you could see that I have my ears and whiskers. Into Haitian Creole become Kompe, Zoe, Come, whisker, Come, moustache. So I've come up with two different references. One is masculine, the other is feminine. That way to create gender equality. Because I also have an audience. We know that our culture could be highly patriarchal. So to encourage gender equity, I decided to actually make one feminine and another one masculine. Takeaways. So when you're translating works into different languages, you have to merge with the author. You have to become the author at some point. You also have to distinguish yourself from the author. You also have to create new ways of looking at things. You have to look at cultural nuances. This is exactly what I've done with Alice in Wonderland. There are times I have to do inversion, where I have to invert a few things. Let me give you an example. There's a story, there's a dialogue in which Alice was talking about hair. And hair is a touchy subject in Haitian Creole. Kinky hair and straight hair. So instead of going straight objectively with kinky and straight hair, I use symbols of, let's say, horn, and I said cheveux fil, cheveux babmaï, as opposed to straight hair, and I said cheveux plume mouton, as opposed to kinky hair. So I remove the prejudicial aspect of her texture in a new text because I know that is extremely sensitive in our culture. You're allowed to do that because that is not essential to the story. You changing from one audience to the next one, you're allowed to do that without sacrificing the text itself. Next slide, please. Camila, is it possible to play the sound for us?
did you ever eat a bat? When suddenly, thump, thump, down she came upon a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up onto her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the White Rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting!"
Konya la Dina, ou met bon vérité, ah oui, ou pas du jeu manger au chot chot. C'est comme ça, bride soukou, Alice te vin tomber plat sur un ban ti branche bois, fait sèche ak paille qui te vin mette fin ak la descente là. Détrap de, sans un petit garçon même, Alice te volé ploup sous deux pieds. Il te gardé en haut, mais en l'air te fait noir couvert. Devant, te gen une route qui allait descendre en bas net, et c'est là, il te voit la peine blanche là, qui t'a marché précis pour puis devant. Alice pas de temps pour le te perdre, qui fait, il était parti derrière la peine, tant couvent. À peine la peine enterrée, Alice te dit, oh, coupez les oreilles, oh, comme un moustache, dis qu'il a commencé trop tard, oui là.
You see, I've chosen Alice in Wonderland because the author, he was a mathematician, logician, a writer, humorist. So I've chosen Alice because you have so many different aspects, intellectual aspects in the book. It is a book about children, but it's also a book about fantasy. It's also a book about dreams. It also contains aspects of politics, sociology, analysis. So by bringing this particular book into Haitian Creole, I'm challenging the linguistic prejudice that would have us believe that certain things cannot be discussed in Haitian Creole. That's what I've translated concepts, scientific concepts, text, relative theory in Haitian Creole, stuff in quantum mechanics into Haitian Creole, mathematical concept, because I'm challenging the view that would have us believe that, oh, Creole should be left for like common stuff, not sophisticated stuff. It is a lie. In fact, that used to be said of Finnish. At some point in time, when Finland was colonized by the Swedish, everything was done in Swedish. Everything. At the university, everything was taught in Swedish. And some intellectuals decided, wait a minute, that is not correct. We have to do something. So what they all got together, they know that the language didn't have scientific terminology. You know what they did? They come up with them. People have this tendency to assume, oh, if something does not exist, we cannot come up with it. Well, even in English, even in French, those terms were invented by people. And we are people like everybody else. So if a person could invent something, we should dare to invent as well, because invention is what enhancing your language. So it's not a problem if I cannot just a concept in Haitian Creole. I can just discuss with other people and we come up with new things. What other people do? Well, before you come up with the term gravitation, it existed in English. So they give it a different meaning. Same thing could be done in Haitian Creole. We have a word that has a different meaning. We bring it into Haitian Creole and we give it a scientific meaning. Take, for example, la vie on did moves around. Well, that could be used for orbital movement. We're talking about astronomy. You can say, okay, planets ap la vie on did well, this planet is moving around the sun in an orbit, in a circular orbit. So we have all the potential. So we have to fight against linguistic prejudice, chauvinism, by investing intellectually, academically in the language. And we do that in two ways. We translate, we bring things that others have created into our language. We also create. The goal is to create, because translating is not just copying. It's a creative process, and it depends on the subject. If I'm, for example, translating a medical report, well, I have to be as faithful to the letter of the word, because description and prescription are critically important. But if I'm translating a poem, a transcendental work about spirituality, guess what? I'm giving enough space to be creative, because a translated work is actually a new work. It just happens to mirror an original work, but it is also creation. Can you please give us the next slide? Okay, so tips and takeaways. So first thing we have to do, we have to immerse ourselves into the book. We have to get in the mind of the original author. That's why we can do that, because as Sartre once said, any particularity of humanity is also a universal trait. So what happens in Haiti locally could be adapted to other places in the world, because human beings are basically the same. They have the same motivations, the same aspirations. So what we see often comes in different dresses, but actually the same thing at the bottom of it all. So immerse yourself into the writer, because you can do it, because Carol Lewis was a human being. He was a mathematician, was a logician. I happen to have studied math as well. We have similar interests. So I can bridge myself with Carol Lewis. So immerse yourself into the writer. Second one is also you find intellectual ground, common intellectual ground. So what you have in common. as I said, mathematics, I have that in common with Carl Lewis. Humor, we have that in common. Art, we have that in common. But also fusion. You do a fusion of culture. So the British are funny, so are Haitians. That is a common bridge. Fantasy is a big thing in British. After all, the British are islanders as well. We islanders, they're islanders as well. So there's some particular things about islanders when it comes to dreaming beyond the horizon. We have that as well. So the characters in Alice in Wonderland would find a ready home into Haitian Creole because we have Bouki Malis, we have Tézin. So the idea of an animal talking, discussing things with a human being is not that uncommon in Haiti. This is what we do in Lakou when we fighting to, okay, let me go first with my story. It's the same thing. Another one is engaging in multiple formats. For example, before my presentation, I listened to Alice in Wonderland in audiobook last night to calm myself down, and it allowed me to see different things I didn't see before. So even my translation got improved just by getting prepared to actually do this presentation. The next one is expose scholarly commentary. So look at what other people said on the subject matter. Discuss trying to understand what other thinkers were thinking about the book, what Alice was thinking. The dream, is it a dream, or was Alice under the influence of something? It's possible. Was it like a curse? Look at all those possibilities, all these modalities to be able to come up with a better translation, because it is not a passive project. It is an active one. And also be willing to depart from the author, because you may be writing for different audiences. You also may be writing for different time. I'm not a big fan of political correctness. I'm not saying that you should change everything to actually, make every human being comfortable. But at the same time, you have to be sensitive. So you don't have to be a coward, but you have to be sensitive. And when something is not essential, you're allowed to change it to make it more comfortable for the new audience. And this is all. And next slide, please, for now. Yes. What I've done, I couldn't have done it by myself. So we have a company called Curving Line Creates that I and Claire have come up with. What we do is that we try to create new things academically, intellectually, for Haitian audience in Haitian Creole, because we want to make sure that Haitian Creole is seen as a language of sophistication, not just a language of backward talk. It's something we can use in literary places, in classrooms, and we can discuss philosophy with it. We can discuss science, anatomy, physics, philosophy, spirituality. Any great idea you can come up with, we can actually discuss in Haitian Creole. Because guess what? The ideas come before words. Before we have the term to explain something, even for British intellectuals, for French intellectuals, for Chinese, African, Nigerian, you actually come up with ideas first before we come up with the word. So this is what we do. So if we don't find the words, we come up with it. For example, here's an example. I was discussing mathematics with a professor named Serge Maider, and we're trying to come up with a term for continuity, for discussing, functions. Well, he told me, well, why don't we use Siwolin? Because Siwolin has that characteristic. If you try to stretch it, it doesn't snap, it doesn't break. It becomes thinner, it doesn't break. Well, this is similar to what we're seeing in the concept of continuity in mathematics. It doesn't have any hole. Well, from now on, instead of saying continue, I said Siwolin, your fonction Siwolin, to describe a continuous function in mathematics. So I have a lot of people to thank for the work that I'm doing. So I have not been able to do it by myself. I have people that looked at my work, such as my partner, Claire Judine, who has been an editor of my work. I have other people that encourage me, Tillis Kerlins. So it's a collective work. It's a community behind everything that we do. So if I succeed, I do not succeed by myself. I have a lot of people behind me, including McNeil and Edlins, who have been highly helpful, supportive of what I have done, because they were able to help me with the technical aspects of the presentation. This is Mark Kinson, Curving Lines. I'm very happy to have been part of the presentation of Konbit 25, and it was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, McNeil, Mark Kerson, and Ed Lenz, for that fascinating and practical session. We enjoyed it. You have shown how excellent in language work grows from systems, structures, and collaboration. And now, to close Konbit 2025, we look toward the future, where technology, creativity, and youth are shaping the next chapter of Haitian Creole. Our final keynote, Konbit 2025, is Technology, Youth, and Future of Haitian Creole. Our speaker is William Lesly Balan-Gaubert, Haitian history and society scholar in residence at the University of Chicago. William's work explores how young people and technology are refining language and culture, making Creole a living force across digital, educational, and creative spaces. Before going on with our session, please don't forget that you can leave your questions or reflections in the chat. Please join me in welcoming William Lesly Balan-Gaubert.
Thank you very much for this interesting introduction. Bonjour tout le monde. Today I'm going to talk about, at least I want to thank, first of all, Marlene Julien for having invited me to participate in this wonderful symposium, or the wonderful Konbit, as they say. I'm going to speak about, at least the task that I've been given was to talk about the role of technology, artificial intelligence, the youth, and the future of Haitian Creole. I'm going to be repeating a few things that the brilliant interventors have already done. There will be some kind of repeat, because I think that the previous speakers touch on a number of the issues that I'm going to be talking about. I'm inspired by Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. So I have entitled my talk Toward a Revolutionary Pedagogy, rather than just pedagogy of the oppressed, but a revolutionary pedagogy. So today I invite you to imagine a Haiti where knowledge circulates freely, where every child learns not in a foreign tongue that alienates them from their own thought, but in the language of their own, which is Creole. A revolutionary technology begins where understanding begins, in the mother tongue. But it must not stop there. It must reach beyond the walls of classrooms in the vast frontier of technology and artificial intelligence, and into the hands and imagination of the youth, who are the living future of Haitian Creole itself. What do we mean by revolutionary pedagogy? Excuse me. By revolutionary, I do not mean simply rebellious or destructive. I mean transformative, an education that reverses the optical lens through which we see ourselves. In the old pedagogy, the Haitian child learns to repeat, to imitate, to memorize the words of others. The teacher is the authority and the student the echo. In a revolutionary pedagogy, the teacher becomes a facilitator and the student becomes a creator. Learning ceases to be submissive or submission, it becomes invention. This pedagogy is revolutionary because it aims to decolonize knowledge, to dismantle the hierarchy that places French as the language of intellect and Creole as the language of emotion or instinct. It seeks to show that Creole is not a dialect, as previous speakers have mentioned, not a derivative, not a broken French, but a complete system of thought capable of producing science, philosophy, and poetry. For nearly 2 centuries, the Haitian school system has been an instrument of exclusion. Since the early republic, Language has divided our nation into two unequal halves: those who understand and those who pretend to understand, those who speak French and those who are silenced. Our children, brilliant and eager, enter school speaking only Creole, their natural language of thought and feeling. Yet, from the first day, they are forced to think in another tongue, to decode concepts through a linguistic filter that distorts meaning. The result? Confusion, shame, and the internalized belief that their own language is inferior. The tragedy is not only linguistic, it is epistemic. When a child's first encounter with knowledge is alienation, learning itself becomes a form of exile. But today, something extraordinary is happening. The very tools once used to dominate, that is, technology, the internet, and now artificial intelligence, can become a means of liberation. When properly harnessed, technology democratizes knowledge. It breaks the monopoly of textbooks printed abroad and curricula imported wholesale. Imagine open educational platforms in Creole, interactive apps teaching mathematics, physics, literature, and civic education in the language every Haitian understands. Imagine chatbots built by Haitian programmers that answer questions in natural Creole syntax, powered by AI, trained not on foreign data alone, but on the wisdom of our proverbs, folktales, and oral traditions. Technology, of course, is not neutral. It reflects the assumptions of its creators. Therefore, if Haitians do not take part in designing the digital future, others will continue to define it for us. To code in Creole is to affirm existence. To translate algorithm in Creole is to claim cognitive sovereignty. This is how pedagogy becomes revolutionary, when the tools of knowledge cease to be imported and start to be invented. Artificial intelligence challenges us to ask anew, what does it mean to think? In a world where machines can write, speak, and even translate between languages, the role of human intelligence must evolve. But AI is only as intelligent as the data it consumes. If Creole, African, and Caribbean epistemologies are absent from the digital corpus, then AI will reproduce the same colonial hierarchies in the realm of knowledge. It will think only in English, French, Mandarin, and a handful of dominant languages. So, to ensure that the future of intelligence includes us, we must feed the machine our words, our syntax, our idioms, our logic. A Haitian revolution in artificial intelligence begins not in Silicon Valley, but in the classrooms that teach students to write, code, and reason in Creole. It means building corpora, dictionaries, speech recognition models, and translation systems that respect the depth and complexity of our language. This is not mere cultural pride, it is survival. For a language that does not exist in the digital space is a language condemned to extinction in the next century. Every Haitian, every generation of Haitian inherits not only the ruins of the past, but also its unrealized dreams. The youth of Haiti, resilient, creative, impatient, are the true authors of the next chapter. They already live in the technological world, on social media, in digital art, in diaspora networks, but they must be empowered to move from consumption to creation, from imitation to innovation. A revolutionary technology must therefore give them three essential tools: critical thinking to question the received truth, technical skills to master the tool of their age, linguistic confidence to know that thinking in Creole is not limitation, but a liberation. When youth are allowed to dream and to create in their own language, they will produce ideas and inventions that speak authentically to Haitian reality. Let us imagine the year 2050. A young Haitian girl sitting in a small village near Hesh opens a tablet. She accesses a virtual classroom powered by AI. Her teacher appears not as a distant figure in Port-au-Prince, but as an avatar who speaks to her in flawless Creole, explaining algebra through the rhythm of drum patterns, teaching history through interactive maps of the revolution, and philosophy through proverbs and that her grandmother still remembers. The future is not a fantasy. That future that I speak about is not a fantasy. The technology already exists. What remains is willpower, the moral and political decision to invest in our language, to believe that it can carry the weight of modern science and global dialogue. Creole must not only be the language of home and humor, it must become the language of law, medicine, engineering, and philosophy. In doing so, we complete the revolution begun in 1804. For the political independence achieved by Dessalines remains unfinished until it is matched by intellectual independence. Educators must cease to be the guardians of all hierarchies and become architects of new possibilities. Policy must move from rhetoric to action. Officialize Haitian Creole as the primary language of instruction at all levels. Train teachers in bilingual and digital pedagogy. Fund the creation of open source educational materials in Creole. Establish partnerships between universities, technology firms, and linguistics institutions to develop AI tools for Haitian education. Let us not forget, the best way to protect a language is to use it in all domains of life. A language that teaches physics and philosophy will not die. A language confined to folklore and daily chatter will. Every revolution must be guided by ethics. Technology without ethics is domination by other means. AI without conscience is colonialism reborn in code. A revolutionary technology grounded in Haitian Creole insists that education serve the people, not the market, that machines augment humanity, not replace it, that knowledge be shared, not sold. The ethical foundation lies deep within Vaudou philosophy itself, where knowledge or connaissance is communal, relational, and healing. The task before us is not to invent a new ethic, but to remember the one we already possess. Let me end with a vision. Imagine Haiti as the first fully Creole literate nation in the Caribbean, where digital tools powered by artificial intelligence speak our language fluently, where every child, whether in Port-au-Prince or Port-de-Paix, has equal access to knowledge, where our universities produce not only lawyers and doctors, but inventors of technology grounded in local culture. Imagine a Haiti where Creole, is not a symbol of poverty, but the emblem of progress. This, my friends, is not utopia. It is the unfinished promise of independence. If we can liberate thought from linguistic chains, if we can teach our youth to think, code, and dream in their own voice, then Haiti will no longer be spoken about in foreign tongues. It will speak for itself powerfully, creatively, and universally. Let us then commit educators, technologists, linguists, and youth alike to build this revolutionary pedagogy. For in doing so, nous pas seulement apprendre, nous libérer tête nous. Merci en pile. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. And with that, we have reached the end of Konbit 2025. Over the past 2 days, we have shared ideas, challenges, and hopes, all centered around one truth. Language connects. From the workplace to translation, from classroom to technology. Haitian Creole continues to open doors and build bridges around the world. On behalf of Creole Solution, thank you all our speakers, artists, partners, and to everyone who joined online. Let's carry the spirit of Konbit, collaboration, and collective effort into everything we do. Thank you, everyone, and see you next year for Konbit 2026.